So my name is Elena Matveyeva, and I'm going to speak about teaching teenagers become successful learners today. Here, I am going to say a few words about myself. Well, I started teaching 25 years ago, can hardly believe it myself, at Yaroslavl State University as a teacher of general and business English. I started my career at the Department of Economics, and just keep it in mind, yes, just that was where I come from. Yeah, I really enjoyed in the past teaching business English. I still enjoy doing that. And I think that some of the things I talk about and I use when I teach teenagers came from that past. Yes, from the beginning of my career, and it's all developing. Then I moved from a state sector to a private language sector and started working at the Dmitry Nikitin School, teaching adults, of course. And then I moved to teaching teenagers, which was just a lucky coincidence. Now I'm saying it's a lucky coincidence. At that time, I didn't think it was lucky. My colleague asked me to cover her because she was going on a maternity leave. And I thought, okay, I'll do it for 2 months, but I stayed, and I really realized that teaching teenagers is an adventure. Yeah, and it's a challenge, but it's a very interesting adventure. Then I had a dream of becoming a materials developer and a teacher trainer. And again, this dream came true, and it is connected with teaching teenagers because together with Andrew, we are going to be teaching the course on teaching teenagers. And I will mention the learning journal that we wrote together with Dmitry Nikitin that is being used now at the Dmitry Nikitin School, and the materials from which I'm going to share during the course. And the newest, so to say, the newest addition to my journey is my new thing that I started being a university. Well, I became a university student again in September. I went back to university for 2 years to get a master's degree, which has no connection with English language. I'm learning to be a career coach or a career psychologist or a career specialist. And actually, that idea also came to me from my experience of working with teenagers, because little by little I came to realize that whether I wanted or not, well, I wanted it, yes, but whether I wanted or not, teaching teenagers and dealing with teenagers is connected to teaching them to be successful adults, basically. And I think that everything is happening for a reason, and there are like logical connections in our journey as teachers and in the journeys of our students as learners as well. Well, so let's get down to talking about teenagers. And I hear a lot from colleagues that teaching teenagers is kind of difficult, is hard, challenging, yeah? And why is that? Well, mostly teachers know how to deal with children, yeah? So we know that their main activity is playing games. So those who teach children, preschoolers, they include a lot of games, songs, yeah, some kind of interactive activities, and that basically is clear. We know what adult students are like. They are serious. Their main activity is work. Yeah, they might not know some successful strategies of learning because probably they learned a long time ago. Yeah, and so there might be some complications there, so to say. But teenagers are always placed somewhere in between. So they are not kids anymore, but they are not adults yet. And this in between position creates some challenges, I believe. But it also, brings this interest to us as teachers who deal with teenagers, because on the one hand, well, I see my role as a teacher of teenagers on the one hand in slowly moving them from this main activity of playing games and having this fun, yes, like in playing, singing, and always having fun, towards a little bit of a more serious and more autonomous process, which you will hear, you will listen to about autonomy later today. Yes, so I've looked at the program. There will be a talk on that. And make them a little bit more responsible for their studies, more like adults, and also to prepare them for their adult life, so to say, yeah, to teach them some strategies that can make them successful students first, and then successful employees or successful in their career. So now you know where my interest in career came from. Yeah, so it came from this idea. All right. So one more difficulty when we speak about teaching teenagers, yes, and if we keep in mind that, well, I will speak about myself, yes, I keep in mind that my role is to move them from playing games, though I love games. So those of you who know me, they know that I love games. And I think that adults actually need to add this element of game into their activities. But for teenagers, it's important to understand that, okay, they need to move slowly from this playing games, yes, to a little bit more serious side. But unfortunately, we can never, and again, while we are preparing them for their adult life, yeah, we can never be sure what life will be like when they become adults. Yeah, so when we speak about teenagers, 13 to 18 years old, depending on where they are on this age, on this age scale, so to say, we cannot predict what life will be like when they become adults. Yes, when they enter university, when they graduate from university, or when they finish school, and that creates additional difficulty. And here I love this scheme, yeah, and I love mentioning those changes in the world that happened not in such a long period of time, and just to illustrate how quickly the world changes and what we can do about it. Yes, and if we can do anything about it. For a very long time, we lived in a SQUAD world. Maybe you've heard about it. Yeah, and it is an acronym which means steady, predictable, ordinary, and definite. So because I got interested in the questions of career, yes, and career path, one of my favorite authors all of whose books I read is Elena Rizanova. And she gave a metaphor to this situation. Yeah, that, well, maybe we can take as an example, can take my parents, or maybe somebody's grandparents, when more or less it could be predicted, yes, that, okay, they will finish school, they will go to university or maybe college, they will finish college or graduate from the university, and they will go to this company, and maybe they will grow from some lower junior levels higher and higher. So it could be predicted. And if metaphorically speaking, it could be imagined like that a person would get on the first step of an escalator, and looking at the aim, looking at the goal, could gradually move upwards, yeah, in their career. And they could imagine what they need to do in order to achieve their goal. But then everything changed in 1980s when the Cold War began, and we found ourselves in the VUCA world, which became volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So when I got interested in teaching business English, I heard about this VUCA world again and again, here and there, meaning that the world has changed and we have to adapt to the changed world. Yeah. And if we go back to that metaphor, it was like the escalator all of a sudden started moving in a different direction. Yeah. So it became more complicated to stay even in one place. Yes. So even to be on the same spot, we need to really run very quickly, like in Alice in Wonderland. Yes, you might remember the quote. But that was not the end of it. And in 2020, everything changed again. And the change happened that nobody would have ever imagined. And there are certain people who, notice those changes, and they suggest that there was another shift, and they gave an idea that now we don't live in VUCA world anymore, we live in bunny world. So the world became brittle, anxious, non-linear, and incomprehensible. And at this spot, so basically things changed even like while I'm speaking at conferences, webinars, and courses, things have changed over this short period of time already. So, and the metaphor would be like that. So at some point in 2020, the escalator disappeared. Yeah. And basically, people were lost. We, all of us, yes, found ourselves in this situation that we did not know what to do. And we didn't know what even to rely on and which direction to move and what is happening. Nobody understood. But you know what? Just recently, I think it was last year, 2023, there appeared a new acronym, but I'm not going to tell you which acronym because I want you to be a little bit creative now, yeah, because Andrew, when you listen to Andrew, there was, I've heard some things like creativity, yeah, so creative thinking, one of the 21st century skills. So I will ask you to do something just to become a little bit more energetic. I'll take a look at the chat. So what is your variant? Yeah, maybe if you know, forget about it. If you know the fourth acronym, just pretend you don't remember. How can you describe the world today using an acronym? And by the way, it can be a task that you can give your students. So we can try out now and we can see how it works. So could you please write your acronyms in the chat box? Just let's see, it could be like that. As you can see, a combination of just random, letters, or it could be some real existing word, which like every letter of which has a meaning. For example, I can give you an example that was given by some of your colleagues at the courses I taught. I give this task and I have a collection of different acronyms. So as you can see, for instance, how can you describe the world today using an acronym? Somebody suggested cuckoo. Yeah, here it's crazy, unpredictable, chaotic, overwhelming, offensive, fun. Yeah, I hope you can see. Oh, sorry. Fun, yeah, flexible, unpredictable, and nanotechnological. So let me just take a quick peek here. Flexible, open, creative, smart, Fox. Okay, well done. Thank you. So you can continue, writing your variants of what our world is like now. But I remember that we have the time limit, so I am going to move on. And I will read your variants when I finish my talk and can take a look at the chat box. But please continue generating some ideas while you are listening. Well, I would like to show you what new acronym appeared very recently. Yeah, so our new world now is a Shiva world, which is, just look at that, split, horrible, inconceivable, vicious. And you can see that there are 5 letters, not 4. Remember, there were always 4 letters in the previous acronyms, but now there is 5. Like a little bit, an optimistic word was added, arising, so which brings a little bit of hope into our hearts that not everything is as gloomy as is stated by the 4 words here. Well, living our life, we got to understand one simple thing, that we can never hope that things will ever go back to some kind of normal, because nobody knows what normal is, and we have to accept that change is the only constant. And we have to be ready that it will be happening all the time, constantly. And we somehow need to be on top of those changes. So how can we do that? Yeah, so it's just, to illustrate how changes happened. Yeah, and basically to remind you that it happened over quite a short period of time. Yeah, so all those changes of the world, especially the last 2, they happened in a matter of 4 years. Yeah, So really, really fast changes. And just, thinking a little bit about what Andrew talked about, I think that this quote expresses the idea that I wholeheartedly agree with. And that's actually exactly what Andrew was saying, that instead, uh, we should focus on what robots cannot do well by learning to become more human. And if you notice which words here are in a different color, yeah, so more human, high-level reasoning, social and emotional skills. And this quote is taken from a talk given by Tim Goodyear and Mike Mayer at IATEFL in 2019. It was even before COVID started. And have a look what is happening now. Yes, this artificial intelligence is developing. There is a lot of talk of whether they will substitute humans or not, where robots will, substitute humans, whether teachers will not be needed anymore. So a lot of discussion like that. And this is a nice quote and a nice idea to keep in mind. I truly believe that in such a situation, yeah, when we speak, it can be said not only about learning English, but in general about acquiring any skills. It is a combination of hard skills and soft skills that gives the best result. And of course, here you can only see a couple of soft skills mentioned. The list is huge. So I have a resource with 56 soft skills, but it's always growing. Yeah, and now we understand that the importance of soft skills cannot be should not be underestimated. And in order to be efficient, successful, yeah, and in order to be adaptable to the life which is constantly changing, the soft skills are the skills which will stay with us and that can be applied to any job, to any sphere, to any situation, unlike hard skills. Yeah, so we can never predict what hard skills will be in demand because the situation might change any moment. But soft skills, they are also called transferable skills. They can be applied to any situation. And you know what I discovered when, studying at university now, that we are discussing absolutely the same issues now. And everything that I taught my teenagers in class, I am now using and learning about. So, by the way, it's quite an interesting adventure for me as well because now I am a student again, and I am rediscovering this process of how I can learn better. Yeah, which is not very easy. Yeah, so now I understand teenage students much better. And well, a little bit coming closer to what we came here to discuss, yes, is that in 2020, together with Dmitry Nikitin, we wrote the first edition of Learning Journal for Teenagers. It is the materials that are well, that in our our idea was that this journal would be used instead of just like, first of all, instead of the notebook, because there are some pages for making notes. There is a bit on vocabulary and working with vocabulary, but there are also a lot of tasks on developing soft skills. And even though at first it was a little bit scary for me as a teacher as well, how am I going to cover the course book? How am I going to cover the course book plus the Learning Journal Teens? But now we already have 3 years of experience, and results show us that developing soft skills helps to our students to study more effectively and faster. And so when we included work on Learning Journal, our students started getting better results in exams as well. So now we have we have a chance to say that, yes, it's working. And I can see that in my teenage students as well. So at the course that we are going to teach together with Andrew Walkley, you already know that I will be responsible for teaching soft skills module. Andrew will be responsible for teaching hard skills module. And we will share materials from those learning journals that we have written that you can take and use in class already during the course. The course will last for 3 months, and you will have a chance to take it, to use it, apply it, and come back with feedback and share with us how it worked or maybe did not work. And it will help us. I hope it will work. Yes. I know it will work. Let's do it like that, because we have practiced, and we have used it with our students. And it can be discussed with other teachers. And usually this course is a beautiful way to learn together with other colleagues and to discuss things which I think also follows the principles which I consider important to keep in mind, important things to remember. And these principles will be used in the course that we are inviting you to join. Learning as collaboration, yes, and in our classroom, it's not just the teacher who is trying her or his best to, make sure the student learns, but it's a collaboration between a teacher, the student, the parent. Yeah, the parents sometimes, they demand results from the teacher, but they don't want to be involved themselves. But it's a collaboration of the methods, of the materials, the teacher, the student, the parent. And during our course, it will be a collaborative learning process. Teaching is facilitation of learning. So the teacher is not that person anymore who comes to class and tells everybody, sit down, I am now going to tell you how to do it correctly, what is right and what is wrong. And Andrew also mentioned that already. The teacher is there to facilitate the learning of the students, to help them to learn more effectively, but the responsibility is in the hands of the learners. And our task as as teachers, is to show them how to be autonomous, how to be responsible for their learning, how to analyze, how to reflect, how to give and receive feedback. And soft skills are as important as hard skills, or maybe more important, but, well, let's say they are as important as hard skills, and they only in combination, they can give good results. And I would like to finish off with a metaphor. So I'm from Yaroslavl, yeah, and you know that Yaroslavl is an ancient city on the river Volga, and there are a lot of churches and cathedrals. And once I've heard this saying and this story, this parable, maybe you know it as well, when two workers were building the church, and they were asked, okay, one of them is really always tired, exhausted, and the other one is always cheerful and enthusiastic. And when the first one was asked, why are you so tired? He says, I am laying bricks all day, it's hard labor. And when the other was asked, well, you're doing the same job, why are you so cheerful and so enthusiastic? And he said, I am building a cathedral. So I would like you to ask yourselves, are you laying bricks or building a cathedral? And I think that when we teach teenagers, it's such a wonderful opportunity for us as teachers, not just to lay bricks and to teach them how to say this or that, but to build a cathedral and to teach them those soft skills that will be useful in their future. And maybe, who knows, they will become future leaders who will change our world for the better. Well, I know that this thought warms me up from inside very much. And please come join our course, Teaching Teens course. We are going to start in March together with Andrew Walkley. I'm sure it will be a nice and logical and structured collaboration of two teacher trainers from different countries. And please keep in touch. You can find me using this nick, Elena Pro Career. So thank you very much for your attention.